Welcome back to Footballology. So next up on my list is Mason Taylor. Now, when it comes to Mason Taylor, I think he has a really good opportunity to be that breakout tight end for the New York Jets, but also just overall for the league. When we look at his opportunities this year, he's not going to have to share the ball that much. When we come down here and we look at their roster, who's really pressing him at the tight end position? No one. Now, I know King Sadiq was drafted there, and I think Sadiq is a really phenomenal, talented tight end, but unfortunately, some injuries have happened, and that might set him back a little bit. But with him being a rookie, I don't think his opportunities are going to be that high to begin with, anyways. Now you add the injuries to it, really opens up the door for Taylor to do something. And then when we come down to the receiver position and you look at the receivers, just like in my past videos, who's really taking that number two spot? We know who Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's a lock. We don't have to argue or even ask about that. But then who's that number two pass catcher? And I say pass catcher because we've seen teams in the past where we have a tight end at the number two or number one spot and then a receiver at the one or two spot. And I think that's what the opportunity for the Jets are going to look like this year as well. And I like Adnan Mitchell. I like Omar Cooper. I like some of the receivers that they currently have on their roster, but none of these guys truly right now truly stand out as that number two pass catcher. Not yet. Not saying it can't be. Not saying it won't ever happen. But just saying that, like, who's truly going to step into that role? And I think right now, the way it's all shaping out to be, I think Mason Taylor has that opportunity. And we come over with them bringing in Frank Wright at the offensive coordinator position. I really wanted to look at his history and see what he's really done from that coordinator position. And we come over to the Chargers back in 2015 when he was the offensive coordinator. As you can see, Antonio Gates was his third guy as far as targets. And that's 85 targets, 56 receptions, 5 touchdowns, 600 yards. And I think that's really impressive. That's really solid, especially from the tight end position. Now, Antonio Gates was 35 at this point. And on top of that, he only played 11 games. So I think that's still really impressive for him to only play 11 games and still have that kind of production. And then we go to 2016, same situation. Antonio Gates started 9 games, played in 14, 93 targets, 53 receptions, 500 yards, 7 touchdowns. Once again, that's extremely impressive. If Antonio Gates had the opportunity to play a full season, that'd probably be closer to 800 yards and maybe 10 touchdowns, if not more. And so it's just like you could see that clearly the opportunity was there for Antonio Gates. And I always look at targets because our targets mean opportunities. We need opportunities, not receptions. Receptions just mean somebody cashed in on the opportunity, but we need multiple opportunities. We go to 2017. Now, Frank Wright is now the head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. Sorry, not the head coach, but the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Once again, you can see right here, Zach Ertz had 74 receptions, 800 yards, 8 touchdowns. Now we go to targets. He's still number 2 in targets. So he had 110 opportunities, and that's what we're going to look for. Started 13 games, only played in 14. So that's really, really impressive from the tight end position. And what this shows me is that Frank Wright's willing to call it up, willing to dial it up for his tight ends to at least give them those opportunities. And that's what we really need. We need opportunities. 2018, now he's the head coach for the Indianapolis Colts. And what you can see is Eric Ebron coming over to Indianapolis. 110 opportunities once again for the tight end, but 66 receptions, 750 yards, 13 touchdowns. So what this tells me right here is that Frank Wright, once again, is just willing to dial it up for his guys, give his guys that opportunity to do so much from that position. And I really like that. That's all we want. We just want an opportunity. And then something else I want to do, side note, I was like, okay, what happened? Geno had his best year with the Seattle Seahawks back in 2022. As you can see, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Those are 1-2 guys. We completely understood that. But number 3 was Noah Fant with 63 opportunities, 50 receptions, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then Will Dissly sprinkled in there, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's still production from the tight end position. Now, I'm not saying that all this production combined into one is pretty much what we've seen from Eric Ebron. But not saying that, like, Taylor's going to have this kind of year, but then again, he could. Who knows? But just saying that, like, Geno's willing to throw it to the tight end position. Frank White's willing to dial it up for the tight end. And then we come over here and we look at the receiver position. Who's going to be that guy that steps into that number 2 target share role? I don't know. I don't see them having that guy. And so it really kind of all points back to Mason Taylor and maybe Sadiq in the later part of the season gets the opportunity. But right off rip, it starts with Mason Taylor. And I just don't see anybody at the tight end position pressing him. And I don't see anyone from the receiver position taking away those targets. Now, like I said, Adnan Mitchell, Omar Cooper. These guys, I really like these guys. These are some receivers with some DT Sheffield. Watched him a little bit, especially when he was at North Texas. Killed it. But it's just like these guys have opportunities to do something, and maybe they will do some of their opportunities. But right now, all my loyalty lies with Mason Taylor. I just think that with Frank Reich dialing it up and Geno clearly willing to throw it to the tight end position, it sets up for Mason Taylor to have a really big year and possibly a breakout year. And then we come over and we look at his average draft position. You're practically getting him undrafted at this point. He's way down here with guys that are essentially going to be backups or not even see the starting field. Now, Gunnar Helm was on my number 3 spot, and I still think Gunnar Helm is a good lock too. But something about Mason Taylor, once again, those opportunities and everything that's going to be going his favor, as long as he stays healthy, he truly has a chance to break out this year. It's just going to be, for me personally, it's just going to be so hard to see how he doesn't get to that point. He doesn't become that tight end one. And push some of these other guys, they're like the Trey McBrides and the Brock Bowers and the Colston Lovelands. Some of the guys are at the top of the pecking order right now. But that's just my personal opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think Mason Taylor really has that chance to step out? I know there's a lot of New York Jets fans out there, and the Jets are knowing that this season is just not a true, like, crazy Super Bowl year, but they want to see some life. And I think Mason Taylor is going to be one of those pieces that really shows this offense has life. And obviously Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, but Mason Taylor could be that third guy, in my personal opinion. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a footballologist yet, I don't know what you're waiting on. Go and hit that subscribe button today, become a footballologist, and stay safe, football fans.